evening, everyone. My name is Alfa Indah, and today I would like to share my understanding of teaching English to young learners, or you can call it Teyl. In this presentation, I will explain the principle of Teyl. Some teaching method. How to teach the foreign language skills, the use of games, songs, and stories, my personal experience, and finally some issues of TYL in Indonesia based on the journal article that I read. So let's get started. TYL principles. Before discussing teaching methods, it is important to understand the basic principle of TYL. The first principle is learning by doing. Young learners learn better when they actively participate in activities rather than just listening to explanation. For example, teachers can use games or real objects to make learning more meaningful. The second principle is fun learning. Since children have short attention spans, lessons should be enjoyable and interactive so they stay interested and motivated. The third principle is using visual aids. Pictures, flashcards, videos, and real objects help children understanding new vocabulary more easily. Another important principle is repetition. Children need to meet new words many times through different activities such as songs, games, and stories so they can remember them better. The next principle is positive encouragement. Teachers should appreciate children's effort and encourage them even when they make mistakes because this helps build their confidence. Finally, there is meaningful interaction. Children should have opportunities to communicate in English through simple conversation, peer work, and classroom activities instead of only memorizing vocabulary. This principle shows that teaching young learners is not only about teaching English, but also about creating a fun and supportive learning environment. Now, let's look at some teaching methods that are suitable for young learners. The first method is total physical response, or TPR. This method combines language with physical movement. For example, students follow simple instructions like stand up or touch your nose. It makes student learning active and enjoyable. Second method is communicative language teaching, or CLT. This method encourages students to use English in simple conversation, such as introducing themselves or asking and answering questions. Another useful method is storytelling. Stories help children learn new vocabulary and improve their listening skills in a meaningful way. Teachers can also ask simple questions after the story to encourage students to speak. Teachers can also use flashcards to introduce or review vocabulary through games and matching activities. Finally, pairwork gives children more opportunities to practice speaking with their classmates in a relaxed and sportive environment. In my opinion, there is no perfect teaching method. A good teacher should combine different methods to make learning more interesting and suitable for children's needs. Now, let's move on to how we can teach the four language skills to young learners. For listening, teachers can use songs, stories, and simple classroom instruction to help children become familiar with English. And for speaking, children should practice through role plays, simple conversation, or question and answer activities in a supportive classroom. And for reading, teachers can use pictures books. Teachers can use flashcards and short stories to make reading easier and more interesting. And for writing, children can begin with simple activities like labeling pictures or writing short sentences. By combining these four skills, children can learn English more naturally. Games, songs, and stories are also important in TYL. Games like Simon Says make learning fun while helping students practice listening and vocabulary, and songs such as Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes improve pronunciation, vocabulary, and memory. And stories introduce new vocabulary in meaningful contexts and encourage children to use English through simple question or retelling activities. These activities keep children motivated and make learning more enjoyable. And for my personal experience, although I have never taught in a real classroom, I have helped my younger sibling learn English at home. We often use Duolingo, and I help with pronunciation and also new vocabulary, but sometimes I also use a workbook and guide my sibling through the exercises step by step. This experience taught me that teaching young learners requires patience, encouragement, and enjoyable learning activities. And finally, I would like to talk about some issues of TYL in Indonesia. Our rector asked us to read two journal articles, and my group read the article about the implementation of the Merdeka curriculum. The article highlights four main challenges. The first is teaching training, pedagogical competence, understanding young learners, also, and limited educational resources. This challenge shows that although the Merdeka curriculum gives teachers more flexibility, successful teaching still depends on teachers' skills, creativity, and support from schools. To conclude, teaching English to young learners is not only about teaching English, but also about creating a fun, meaningful, and supportive learning environment. By using appropriate methods, developing the four language skills, and incorporating games, songs, and stories, teachers can help children enjoy learning English. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a wonderful day.